Ethiopian Airlines at a crossroads on the next CNN Business Traveller.
Do you get frustrated?
I wouldn't do this job if I get frustrated easily.
These CEOs are looking to what's next.
We are heavily engaged with what the electric planes can do.
A glimpse into the future of travel.
Hello.
On the ground and in the air. The traveller's experience is getting a refresh on the next CNN Business Traveller.
Sunday, a week of stunning defeats for new British Prime Minister Boris Johnson as the clock ticks down to Brexit. Fareed and the panel make sense of what's happened and discuss what's next. Fareed Zakaria, GPS, Sunday.
I'm Becky Anderson in Mazarara in Mozambique. This is CNN.
You're looking at Bhutan's national pastime, archery. And there's nothing quite like a friendly competition, even when you're the Prime Minister.
Archery is basically very close to our hearts because this is our national game and this is how we traditionally play. And what you're seeing here is two teams playing against each other, and we have two groups of dancers who will encourage when their team plays and try to distract when the opposing team plays. So this is the way we play, because this is both in terms of physical exercise, get together.
Dr. Lotte has a competitive side, and we see it again one evening during a football match.
Oh, we never lost. Don't worry about that. My team never lost, so.
The Prime Minister's office is playing against a team from the Bank of Bhutan. Bet you didn't think you'd hear that sentence today. And Dr. Lotte is a midfielder. He says it allows him to run the entire field. Again, good for his health.
This is part of my weekly ritual that I want to keep myself fit. I love any kind of games or sports, and football is one of my favorite. I can cover the whole field, run the whole game, and if not by number of goals, by number of steps that I've run during the game, I look forward to winning my health side, so I'm excited.
Whether it's football or archery or mountain biking, Dr. Lotte prioritizes his physical fitness, an important lesson in balance that we can all learn from.
I strongly believe that for you to do what you want to do, for you to achieve what you want to achieve, you must be healthy first. So I'm very watchful of what I eat, and I'm very, very careful with what I do. So I have to spend at least an hour or so on my daily basis to spend time with exercise, so that I'm able to perform better, to rejuvenate my muscles and to pump a little extra blood by my heart. You know, exercise has proven a lot of proven benefits, not just for your physical fitness, but also for your meditation. You can think much clearly for longer duration.
Whatever he's doing, it's clearly working. To really unwind, Dr. Lotte spends Saturdays at the hospital, performing operations.
Saturdays are my most special days of the week, because that is the day I get to spend in the hospital with my friends, with my patients.
He went to medical school in Bangladesh, finding his true passion as a surgeon in the field of urology.
I think all the specialties of medicine are equally important and equally interesting, challenging, but on the surgical front, the feature that I like the most is action-packed. You see a patient suffering, you operate the patient, and a few days later, patient go home. And I always wanted to play with my fingers. No, surgery is not just a profession, but it's an art. So I love the art part of the surgery also.
So what's it like to perform surgery with the Prime Minister? Not all that different, actually, as it turns out.
I've known him since 1988, working with the Prime Minister, but personally for me, I still feel he's the same person. I look up to him like my elder brother.
Looking at what he's doing, how he's leading his life, and then how passionate he is about his job, I can say that we have to be also passionate like him, so that's what I'm learning from him.
Today, Dr. Lotte will perform 3 different operations. Afterwards, one of his patients, 49-year-old Machu, tells us that he appreciates Dr. Lotte's work ethic and the way he has handled both roles.
See, again, it would be wrong for me to be assuming what the patients would think or what the patients thought. But from my side, I personally feel that there should not be any difference because most of the Bhutanese know me as Dr. Lotte. They have always identified me with being a doctor, me being a surgeon, that this man comes around and operates. So that is what they know me of. So on that note, I don't think there should be any surprises. But yes, after assuming this present office, they might feel a little different. Some of them might feel a little intimidated, but that is not intended. But I upfront did not feel any changes in them. And of course, I still get the same share of rush from the patients. Is it for my surgical expertise or is it just because they want to be treated by the Prime Minister? I really don't know. But I still have the same kind of rush towards the profession that I offer.
As Bhutan's population continues to age and people continue to live longer, the healthcare system and the government are going to have to adapt.
Just over the last 3-4 decades, our life expectancy at birth has increased from mere 50s to now over 70. So with modernization, with decent access to good healthcare, more nutritious food, and health awareness being better day by day, so many Bhutanese now live longer.
Here, everything comes back to the central values in Bhutan of compassion, kindness, and happiness.
I have a lot of things to tell you.
And with Dr. Lotte at the helm, it seems this beautiful ancient country is in the steady hands of a surgeon.
To me, there's hardly any change, because deep down, this is the same village boy Lotte that I grew up with. So I'm still with the same Lotte in me. Deep down, I'm a doctor. I joined politics because of my profession. For the love of my profession, for the love of my patients, love and care for my patients, I joined politics. To see mainly if I can bring in some policy changes. So that with stroke of my surgical blade, I treat one patient. With the stroke of a pen, if I can treat the whole nation.
The journey started with food. When we discovered sake, we found that, wow, this is something different.
It kind of just naturally flows into the food that I'm making now.
It's just incredible, the variety of flavor that you get.
Sake pairs very well with seafood. It brings out the sweetness.
Sake has all this different sophistication and so much more you can learn.
Culinary Journeys, Sake, Sunday on CNN.
Club, our look at companies that are 100 years old or older. Justine Fletcher runs the archives at the Coca-Cola Company, overseeing 193,000 items worth an estimated $100 million. It all began in Atlanta in 1886, when a pharmacist named John Pemberton created a flavored syrup initially intended as medicine.
Coca-Cola was the only drink that this company made from 1886 to 1955. It wasn't until we got to vending. So now you had consumers going to a vending machine who wanted something more than a Coca-Cola. So we introduced Fanta in 1955, Sprite in 1961, and then our first low-calorie drink in 1963, Tab.
I'm Ben Whittaker. Wait a minute, the Great Pyramids of Egypt, and this is CNN.
Hello, I'm Rick Fulbaum. This is CNN News Now. More than 1,000 evacuees from Hurricane Dorian in the Bahamas are on their way to West Palm Beach, Florida. The death toll stands at 43, but that number is expected to rise. The storm is now speeding northeastward in the Atlantic. Hurricane warnings are now in effect for parts of eastern Canada. U.S. congressional Democrats stepping up preparations for the possible impeachment of President Donald Trump. The House Judiciary Committee is expected to vote next Wednesday on a bill laying out ground rules for an impeachment investigation. Pope Francis is in Madagascar with a message warning about the dangers of deforestation and the impact of environmental degradation. Pope Francis telling his hosts that they should create jobs which respect the environment. Madagascar is one of the world's most impoverished nations. And Serena Williams will try to write another chapter in the history books at the U.S. Open. In the coming hours, the tennis star will attempt to clinch her 24th Grand Slam title, which would tie an all-time record held by fellow American Margaret Court. Williams will face 19-year-old Canadian Bianca Andreescu, who will play her first Grand Slam final. And that's your CNN News Now. I'm Rick Fulbaum. Stay tuned for State of America with Kate Baldwin next.
Crisis. The Democrats who say they have a plan to fix it, as the president says he doesn't believe it, and why a weather map is the next battle the president wants to fight. This is the State of America.
Alabama could even be in for at least some very strong winds.
And that map that you showed today looked like it's almost like a Sharpie.
I don't know.
The president is busy drawing with a Sharpie on a hurricane map. He's completely in a different reality.
He is a unrepentant, shameless liar. And, it's at some point we forget